Hello and good morning from Robert Radford with another game from the series of 50 Years of Chess. My opponent today is a young lady from Scotland named Alice Lampard. We met in 2017-18 season in the Bristol District League, and I was playing for Horfield Chess Club, and she was representing the university where she was studying. And this game is very interesting in the fact that when she came to Bristol, she really took Bristol by storm when she started playing chess here. And in this season alone, she took out, against 15 players, she won 10, drew 3 and lost only 2. And I was one of the players she lost to. So she was a force to be reckoned with, no doubt, for a young player. I just remember this young girl with short eyeglasses and check shirt and jeans and baseball boots, but she wasn't anything like she looked. I know for a fact, she was. Well, I mean this in a nice way. She's a nice girl. She was a tough nut over the chessboard. Obviously, she'd proven that. So I'd heard of her. I'd heard what she'd been doing to people, and I was a bit wary of her. But I decided, let's get it on and see what happens. So in this game, I had the white pieces, and I opened with the move d4. Alice responded with knight f6. At this stage, I don't have a clue what she's playing, but she's just been shadowed with g6 here after bishop d7. So I'm playing a standard d4 opening at the moment, and we're looking at what's going on. So as it's developing into Queen's Gambit type thing against the King's Indian, she played b6, which immediately dropped her from evens to +4 for me on the YouTube light chess, on the light chess. So it's changed pawn. She took with a knight because she's going to finish it. Otherwise, I guess she would have played e takes. So I played e4, and after knight takes pawn takes knight, it's suddenly looking a bit like a Neo Greenfield with both bishops fianchettoed for black. So she attacked the centre, which is exactly what happens in this opening. I defended, she went queen. She's preparing now for rook d8. So I've also noticed that she's left a huge white diagonal hole going down to her a8 castle, a rook. So she has one opportunity now to play bishop b7. If she doesn't play it, she's going to be in trouble. But Alice was fixated with the centre, and she completely forgot about this and brought a rook across as I suggested she was planning to do. And so I was able, first of all, to get rid of this pesky bishop on g7 and then play e4, and now I'm going to win a piece. She could block it with rook d5 as light chess is suggesting, but after c4 she's going to be in trouble anyway. So she decided to go after my rook. Now I didn't play rook e1 first, thinking, well, I'm still going to win a rook, because she can go knight d7 and then it'd be just an exchange for me instead of a piece. So she took, then I retook the queen, so I'd get out of that line of fire in the centre. She took, I took. She played her knight to d7, and she's going to carry on because it's not completely sort of over yet. If we got to endgame, it could be a minor piece. 2 pieces against 1, who knows? So she went back to b8, attacking my bishop. I retreated it to a4. And now she's going to push these pawns by the look of it. So I brought my rook across to e1 because I'm going to double up rook and queen, and then bishop back to b3 to attack that pawn, which is pinned to her king. So she moved the king out of the way of that pin, which is coming. I went queen to e2. b5, which pushes my bishop nicely onto b3. She brought her knight out, attacking the pawn. I took the pawn, recaptured the queen after the swap. And now I have a very, very nice position. Stockfish is showing me at 5.9 plus, which is a win. And it's been that way since she lost the piece, and it never changes, never goes down from that, it goes up. I made sure I had a escape square for my king at this stage in case after she moves a knight she comes down with rook c1 check. That would have been most embarrassing if I'd taken the pawn on a5 and I could only bring my knight back. So she pushed on the a pawn and I pushed my pawn. It's very important in these sort of situations that if you got a centre pass pawn, and for instance you got a rook which cuts off the king from getting across, and you can keep it on that file, and there's a good chance you could push that pawn right the way down to the 7th rank, and that's what I'm attempting to do here. So she flicked the knight out to b4, allowing me to push the pawn on, and then she hits my bishop. This could have been a problem for me as I've got nowhere to go with the bishop without losing it or having it pinned. But I had this nice move, rook e7 check, which I was so pleased I did. So he went king to h6, and I was able to bring my bishop into e6. I've now got a 10-point plus advantage on Stockfish, so this game is well and truly dead if I continue to play this way. She played rook c1 check. I played my king to g2. Like I said earlier, I needed that escape square, and she got behind the pawn with her rook. So now I played bishop to g8, looking to bag another pawn on g7. Stockfish is saying here there's a mate and 8, but I didn't consider it actually. I don't know if I can see that far ahead. Sometimes maybe, but very rarely. And I decided just keep it simple, win more material. So she played g5. I pushed my pawn on yet again, and she pushed a pawn again, and I went knight into the middle. It's good because it threatened to take the pawn on g4, but it supports the pawn as well. And I'm still about to take her pawn on h7, so all is good. I've now got a 12.7 advantage on Stockfish. She came in king g5, and I played a move which I thought was really great, but it wasn't, because I immediately dropped to 6.3 on Stockfish, half of what I had as an advantage. It wasn't the right move, obviously. But I played it anyway because I wanted to push that pawn home on e8 and get him to give up a rook. So I checked, and then she came into f6. That's why it wasn't so good for me, because now I'm not going to be able to defend that pawn. So I had to come back, tap the knight, and hit the other pawn on g4, which allowed her to play knight c6. So I'm never going to get a queen and keep it now. I realised that. So I decided best thing to do was to pawn, get the queen, let her swap off a piece, and when she takes, take the pawn. I could have played rook takes pawn, bishop back, or something like that. But obviously bishop takes pawn is the right move. So I'm back to 6.5 again. Now she's attacking that a pawn. Do I go pawn bishop to g8, defending that pawn, which is good, this is great, or do I take that pawn on g4? Because after all, that one pawn can slow up my passed pawns on my king side. And I decided that was more the priority. So I took it. She took, giving her 2 passed pawns. But this is where I learned things in the past. And if you play rook like there, for instance, b4, that's good enough. Not only am I going to win one of those, but she's never going to be able to get the other one home because I get my rook behind and then concentrate on pushing my own pawns. So then I could sacrifice, if I need to, 1, maybe 2 pieces of pawn if I had to get these pawns home. And with that, Alice resigned. So there we are. It was a bigger game than I thought, because I was just 2 of 15 players that managed to stop her in the league that season. I didn't know that until I just found out today. So I'm quite pleased. I've beaten a good player. She's a very good player. She's something like 1900 or more on FIDE at the moment, and she's got a similar rating on the chess arena that I play on regularly. So she's very good, and I'm glad to have won this game. So I hope you're pleased with what you saw today and got something from it. Thank you very much, and I'll be in touch with you again soon with another game.